I am running 1 minute late, but I hope that's not a problem. I just want to say welcome to everybody, those of you who are connecting now and those that will connect later. Now, this channel talks about tax and accounting matters. If you go on our channel, you'll see many other videos, you'll see shorts, you'll see our past live recordings, and hopefully you will enjoy what we have there for you. So, we teach you how to run your business, how to make a profit. We teach you how to remain productive. If you are employed and you're an employee, we also teach you how to manage your budget, your salary, how to navigate your taxes. And of course, we are based in Johannesburg, South Africa. We will discuss issues that are universal, that may not only relate to South Africa, but I want you to stay connected. Also, please share this broadcast to someone who might find this interesting. And of course, please subscribe, be a part of what we're doing. We are a community, we're a village. We're going out there educating people and trying to help them to conduct their business in an efficient manner. So, for those of you who are just joining us, welcome. I am waiting for more people to come in. And as I do that, I'd like to welcome the one person who's already saying hi to me. Hi back. And I'm just going to wait for a few more people to connect for our numbers to increase. Then we will begin. So this morning I have some interesting topics. I hope you'll find them as interesting as I do. Remember, I always try and cover ground both on a personal basis as well as on a corporate basis. Welcome to you too. I see other people are joining and saying hello. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of what we are doing. I think I'll probably begin now. So that we can cover our full 30 minutes and you don't feel like I've taken up your time, right? So good morning to She Works for His Glory. Welcome to our channel for the first time. I'm seeing your name or your comment for the first time. I hope you'll stay and learn something today. So today we're talking about certain things that every business needs to know, not only for compliance, but in order to turn around your business. Some of you are saying to me, I've been running my business for 2 years now, 3 years, and I've been making losses. How do I turn that around? How do I go from making a loss or making a small profit to making higher profits? I believe I can coach you out of that situation. I am a business coach, but in terms of my qualifications, I'm a professional accountant, tax practitioner, and a corporate governance specialist. It's good to see someone telling me for the first time that she's online. Welcome, Nozipo. Good to have you. So those of you who are connected, please do listen intently, put on your seatbelt, and let's get going. Today, I'm taking a different approach. I am dealing more with the companies, with corporates, with managers, those of you who are running departments or running your own companies. Then I will end off with something for the individual. So I'm going to start with what we call a turnaround strategy or a boot camp, just for the next few minutes, just to help you to say, okay, I'm running my business. I need to make money. I need to make profits. And I've said this before, nobody gets into business to make a loss. Everybody who starts a company, who goes into business, is because they need to make money, they need to earn a living, they need to expand, they need to grow. Any one of those reasons. Sometimes it's a push factor where you've been forced to leave your employment. Okay, we get those as well. But in this case, we're talking about those that are in business and are trying to make money. So here we go. I would like to start off with something very important. Sorry, I have a client who's waiting for me. I didn't realize there was a clash, but let's just carry on anyway. So what I'm actually wanting to talk to you about is how to turn around your business and how to help you to make money. If you're making a loss, you need to look at a few things. Number one, you need to look at your turnover. Are you doing well? Are you making enough money to cover your expenses? And the answer more often than not is no. Most of you might find that you're making maybe a profit in 1 month and a loss in the other, or you're making a loss all the way and only making a profit in one specific month where your sales are boosted. Now listen, if you are able to do your management accounts and to see month on month, my question to you is, what do you see? Do you see a consistent profit? Do you see dips? Do you see differences in every month? And of course, if you're not doing your management accounts at all, that means you can't even begin to measure what you're doing. You wouldn't be able to start anyway at all. So if you're making a loss, the first thing is you need to be able to look at your numbers and look at them on a regular basis. We want to look at how to make a profit. The first place to look is what we call your income and expenditure, your sales. Are you covering every single possible client? Are you not missing any gaps? Have you, in the first place, done a market research, a market survey, and figured out what it is that your clients are looking for? You may just be selling handbags when your clients are looking for purses. You might be selling maybe original leather handbags when people can't afford those, because we're in recession right now, so people are avoiding luxury goods. What would that mean for you? That would mean you would need to cut back and perhaps look at a cheaper alternative that your clients can buy. Also, you need to look at whether your prices are too high. A lot of people are importing. Right now, China is what I call the biggest wholesaler, also the biggest retailer. A lot of people are bringing in things in bulk from China. What does that mean for you? That probably means your price, your landed price, when you're bringing in, say, a tanker load of things from China, your landed price is going to be far cheaper than anybody else. But if you're buying just small quantities from China, of course, you won't be able to land it here cheaply. So this is where you need to look at your price and say, where am I sourcing my goods? Can I get them cheaper? You might just find that if you're trading, for instance, buying and selling goods, you might be better off buying them locally. Then you don't have the cost of shipping. You don't have the delays of shipping. You might have the problem of quality, though, because you might find the quality is not so great. If you're manufacturing, you need to look at your processes. You need to look at whether you are cutting costs. Are you processing the correct raw materials? Where are you buying from? Are you buying them locally? Are you storing them? Are you buying in bulk, which would then enable you to get a discount? Those are the kind of things you need to look at. Remember, I only have 30 minutes, so I'm going quite quickly on this. So look at your raw materials. Look at your manufacturing process. For some people, it's a simple blending process where you're just putting items together. For others, it's a complicated process which needs a lot of machinery. Those machines need to be maintained. People need to be paid. At the moment, AI has taken over. I'm sure we all know. A lot of people are not using, individuals to do their work. A lot of people are using machinery or AI to do it. Now, you need to look at what works for you. What is cheaper? Should you be continuing with those machines, or are you able to find a cheaper option? We've got issues of quality control as well. Once you've produced your product, is there someone checking the quality? Is it all notarized and diarized so that if there's a comeback from a client, quality issue, you can find out where the problem is? So to make a profit, you need to go deep and look into every single thing that you're doing. You need to look at your processes. You need to look at your costs as well. We've talked in depth about the income. We've talked about your selling price. We've talked about your processes bringing the products in. But now we need to look at the costs. If you're paying duty, you need to compare your clearing agent's fees. You need to make sure, and I must tell you one thing, most clearing agents are making money because they won't give you proof of what they've paid to the revenue authority in terms of duty. They will just tell you to pay them, for instance, 50,000 Rand. Meanwhile, they've only paid 15 or 20,000 to the revenue authority. So you need to control that if you're importing. If you're buying locally, you also need to make sure you are picking up all the costs and including them in your costing before you arrive at the selling price. Are you marking up enough? What is your competitor selling it for? Those are the things with your cost of sales that you need to make sure you are keeping a lid on. Of course, the other expenses, things like your electricity. If you're in a factory, are you getting the best deal? Have you checked to see that your electricity isn't, there isn't a problem with the meter reading? Have you checked if you're renting with your landlord if you can't get a better rate. So all those costs, if you reduce just one cost, I can tell you it will make a big difference. It might not be electricity. It might just be advertising. Maybe find a cheaper alternative or do it yourself, or find an intern, someone coming out of school who's good with their phone. They just need to go on Facebook. They just need to go on Instagram, X, or whatever it is, or on TikTok, and do your advertising for you and charge you much less. So look at innovating ways of getting yourself out there. In terms of cost, you need to look at even things like your rent itself. Can you not rather buy that property, get a bond, and try and see if you, because if you're paying rent in a property in a factory, you're only paying someone else's bond. And at the end of 10 years, when you look at how much rent you're paying, you don't own the property. You've helped someone else pay their bond. So you can actually look at ways of reducing costs long term by buying that property and paying your own bond. The other common expense is obviously salaries and wages. For a lot of companies, that is the biggest cost. Especially if you're in the service industry, you're paying consultants, you're paying salaries, you are paying to people, and they need to do the work. So you need to make sure that whoever is earning a salary is actually earning what they should be earning, and their output in terms of the work, what they're producing, is commensurate with what they're being paid. Most of all, you need to make sure that within your staff complement, no one is being paid a salary for doing absolutely nothing. I have consulted in companies, I have clients who have salaries that are being paid out. And when you look at what the person's doing, they have a fancy title, but they're doing absolutely nothing. You can combine roles. You can reduce roles and make it more efficient. You can decide, okay, maybe I as a director can take a step back, and this person who's finance manager in my company can handle some of the roles I've been handling. And therefore you pay yourself less of a salary and this person handles more roles. Maybe they've got more time. If you're outsourcing certain things like HR, to me, I'll be honest, and please don't shoot me, those of you who have HR consultancy companies. For me, a lot of the times that is a real waste of money. It's so easy to employ someone without using an employment agency these days. There are so many outlets, places where you can place your adverts. You can do it by word of mouth. Those are all costs that you can save. Of course, make sure that you're not compromising on things like quality. You're not compromising when you are cutting costs. So when you are looking at your profitability, you're looking at every line item. You're looking even at bank charges. Can you go to the bank, for instance, and ask them to give you a better deal on the bank charges? Because believe me, banks are doing that. I know certain people who have gone to the bank and they've been downgraded into a category where they are paying less bank charges. So there are so many things you can do. You can also look at the fact that you're doing a lot of immediate payments and you're paying extra bank charges. Therefore, pay on time so that you don't need to do an immediate clearance. So having looked at your costs, you can now say to yourself, if I can save at least 10% on every line item, that means my bottom line, my costs have gone down a great deal. I haven't talked about a lot of the other costs because obviously they are specific to different organizations. I've just looked at general costs and given you a basic idea of how you can save. Look at petrol, for instance. If you're in a business that uses a lot of petrol, maybe you're in the logistics business or in the delivery, the courier business, how can you save on your petrol? Try and schedule your trips so that you're only doing trips in certain areas all at the same time. Combine the trips. Also, you can try and look at ways of getting a better deal with the petrol station, the service station. How can you get a better deal? Pay them after. Because that's another way, is if you can delay payments to your creditors, you're cutting down and your cash flow can be used more elsewhere, So those are some of the things that you need to look at. So the first P that I've talked about is profitability. How can I make more profits? How can I make profits if I've been in a loss-making position? How can I turn things around from being in the red to being in the blue because I'm making a profit? Now, making a profit is not all good. As we all know, if you make profits, by the time you submit your return to your revenue authority, be it SARS or whichever country you're in, you're going to have to pay 'pay taxes because you've made a profit. But at least your business is showing life. and at least you're doing well. There are certain things you can do as well that can save you on things like tax. And I think we've talked about them in the past. Please listen to my earlier videos where you can save on your taxes by paying out things like dividends to shareholders, by paying out your medical aid, your retirement annuity, including it in your company expenses for your staff. There's also things like pension. Now, pension is not a cost-cutting thing, but it speaks to morale of the company, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So profitability is one thing. We also want to talk about productivity. How do you increase your productivity? That is one way a company can go forward, is if they are able, from producing 10 tons a day, if you're able to increase it to 11 tons a day, you've become more productive in those same number of hours. If you were able to let's not talk about production, maybe something more relatable. Let's talk about someone who's in perhaps our business, okay, the tax and accounting. If you were doing bookkeeping and you're able to do 12 clients in a week, if you're able to increase that to 14 clients in a week, then you've become more productive. If you're selling cars, perhaps your staff were only selling 4 cars each a month, and they're suddenly able to sell 6 cars. That is productivity. You've increased productivity. But there are certain secrets that every business owner needs to know in order to increase productivity in their business. Number one, you need to look at your staff. Is there high morale? Are they happy? Are they able to come in the morning and find a good reason to work hard in those hours that they are with you? You can only be productive if you're mentally and emotionally stable. So you need to look at the mental well-being and the emotional well-being of staff. And I know a lot of people feel like, oh, that's got nothing to do with me. But as an employer, you can only become productive if your staff is in a good place. If they're not doing well, they have family problems, they have emotional issues, they're sick, whatever the issue is, productivity goes down. Even if there's no cohesion as a team. And that's why people do team building. They do workshops to try and get people to come together. I used to operate from a building in a mall a couple of years ago, and we had a neighbor who was in the sales industry. And at the time, I used to think it was quite silly, but I think he had the right concept. He used to bring his staff together every morning, and they used to do war cries. So that used to give them a boost. By the time they went out on the street or wherever it was, cold calling to do sales, already they were feeling confident and feeling like we can do this, feeling like this is nothing for me, I can achieve. You know, some companies will even have a bell ringing ceremony where they'll ring a bell every time someone makes a sale. What does that do? It increases the productivity, the atmosphere around the office. Of course, it has the negative effect where some people tend to feel like, well, I haven't made a sale, I'm being made to feel less than. Guess what? If you're feeling less than, get out there, make that sale. Then you can also ring the bell. So those are the little things you can do to increase productivity. You can also introduce things around the office. For instance, if you didn't have a certain brand of coffee or tea, bring that in. You can do muffins every week, every 2 weeks. You can introduce fruit baskets. You can introduce employee of the month. Again, that has a potential negative effect where someone might feel they're more deserving, and if they don't get that and someone else gets it, it might affect them. But talking about productivity, those are some of the things that in a business you can do. Now, you might be asking, what does this have to do with the subject that we specialize in, which is tax and accounting? Our job is to coach you, to bring you to a place where your business is doing the best that it can, to bring you to a place where you are succeeding and where you are making money. You cannot make money if productivity is low. You cannot make money if you are going backwards. If you were once upon a time selling X amount and now you're selling less than that. So productivity, very important, very key. We also talked about the quality of the product or the service. Now, sometimes people are so focused on pushing out as many products or services or deliverables as possible that they're not looking at the quality. It doesn't help. If I walk into a shop, a hair salon, for instance, and the hairdresser is doing 10 heads a day, but she's not doing a good job because she's trying to hit a target. But I get home and then maybe my hair looks like it hasn't been through the hair dryer. Productivity must go hand in hand with quality control. I must be able to purchase a product or be provided a service and feel like I've been given the best care and I have done exactly, you've done the best you can for me. This means doing something that people don't talk about often. And I got this from a niece of mine. If you are looking at your client base and you are sure that you cannot provide a certain service to a certain client, be sure to tell them no. Don't take on a client or a certain product service that is completely way out and that you can't do. It doesn't mean that you can't do certain things, but if there's something that you know is going to take up your time, is going to lead you out of the way and really is not worth it, maybe the client won't even pay, then I think in some instances, shut it down. It's better to maintain your reputation and be talked about as a person that doesn't take on too many clients than for you to take on this client and fail to deliver. If you're able to deliver, by all means, please take on the client. But if you're not able to deliver, please be quick to tell the client and shut that down and give them the courtesy to go and find someone else who's able to do it for them. From a business point of view, outlook is very important. What people say out there about you matters. Businesses grow by referral. If I've had a bad service from you, guess what? I'm not going to refer you. In fact, I might just tell the next person how badly I was treated by you, how I didn't get any feedback, how it took you so long to get to the end goal, and how you did a shoddy job. That can do much more damage to your reputation. And that's why, even in my own organization, I stress the importance of giving feedback to customers, communicating, let them know what's going on. If there's a delay, if you are unable to complete a certain job and you had promised, try and get back to them. It's not always possible, but where you can, let them know, give them feedback. And I said this morning to somebody who's probably on here with us, I said, communication is the key thing. Very important. If you're dealing with a client and you do not communicate with them, you don't tell them you've received what they sent you as a request, you don't tell them what the turnaround time is going to be, how likely you are to finish it, you're not upfront and honest enough to tell them that you can't make those times, those impossible targets, because yes, clients do give impossible requests sometimes. You need to tell them, listen, you need this done by the end of close of business today. Honestly, I don't think I'm able to do it. Give them the opportunity to find someone else who can, or to come back to you and say, okay, I've talked to my bank, they're giving me another day. So be honest and be communicative. Be able to tell them, this is where I am with this. Very important. If you then don't manage to meet the deadline you've given, as I said, go back to the client and tell them. They could be disappointed, but at least they can plan accordingly. Another thing that you need to be able to be very careful with is how to handle different schedules. You need to know which client place their order first so that they get the attention, priority. Having said that, you also need to be able to grade your clients into what I'd call diamond, gold, premium clients, and clients that are just walking through your doorway and you won't see them for another 3 years or until there's a problem. There are regular clients who give you business all the time, who are there through thick and thin, who even when you make a mistake, they don't leave, they stay. Those are the clients that you need to take care of. If they have given you an order, if they have a service to be delivered, go out of your way, work extra hours without billing them. Do what you can, finish the job. If you have a client that is not so loyal, that you're not sure of, they can take a little bit of a backseat. They're not less important, but on the scale of things, they can't get the same level of service because, of course, you cannot give everybody the same level of service. Having said that, new clients that are walking into the business, that are still inquiring, they need to be impressed. So you need to be able to give a better turnaround. You need to be able to get back to them within a couple of hours. If it's a no, they need to know. If you can't do it, again, you need to tell them. If it's going to take a long time, if you need more information, whatever the issue is, please do get back to them. It's important. First impressions count. If they feel like you have failed to deliver on just the preliminary request, I mean, what are the chances of you doing well when you're now actually on the job and maybe you've been paid? So from their point of view, they might just be able to assess long term based on the initial response they receive from you. If you're slow, if you're sloppy, if you're incompetent, they're less likely to trust you. Remember, you're building trust here. Clients need to trust you. They need to know that their books are safe or their service is safe. And having said that, we also need to talk about a very important thing. There's a little thing called an SLA, right? Or an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. If you are dealing with confidential client matters, please do not blab about them. Don't tell your neighbor. Don't tell your friend. Don't put it on social media. Don't talk about it. Some people go to the bar, they have one too many, and they start talking about their clients. Very unprofessional. And of course, we're going to try and talk about professionalism. I don't think we'll have time in this video, but I will talk about professionalism in my next video. So look forward to that. So having talked about this subject, I said, please make sure that you're giving a good turnaround period to your first-time clients. Get back to them. Be able to get back and say, have I satisfied all their requirements? If there's something you've left out, apologize. I am sorry. Apologies goes a long way. I've had issues that are messed up with clients, but because I've come back and apologized, I've come back and I've made it right. In some instances, I've even thrown in a freebie. I've said, you know what? I'm just going to do this for free because the first time we did this, there was a problem. And it may not even be me personally that caused the problem, but because I delegated and because I'm overall responsible, I need to take responsibility. I need to be able to say, we have messed up as a firm. We are sorry. Therefore, we are doing this to make up for that. So in an instance, you can turn things around where a client was about to walk out of the door because you've apologized, because you've actually taken the time, maybe you've given them something extra, they might think twice and stay with you. I've also seen people give exit interviews. If a client wants to leave and they're unhappy about something, talk to them. Don't just accept the resignation. Ask them, why are they leaving? What didn't they like? Not only might it save the client, but it'll also help you to do better. It'll help you to make sure that with your other clients, you're doing a good job. If you've noticed on this channel, I give you meat. I give you everything, not just tax and accounting matters. I teach you how to run your business. And that's why I'm your favorite business coach. I hope you found today useful. Before we go, I want to talk to the individuals that are here, the employees. I haven't forgotten about you. Today, I've got something very small, very special for you. If you're working in an organization, be organized. Make sure you have a diary at hand. Make sure you have a to-do list at the beginning of the day. Set your house in order. Know what you are doing from the word go. Of course, by the next day, you need to check and tick off and see, did you do everything you set out to do the day before? If there's anything that needs to be carried forward into the next day, please make sure you do that. If you tick off your to-do list and you find that everything is being done every day, that's good. But it also might mean you haven't put enough things on your to-do list. Make sure that you're also flexible. Just because you had told yourself you're walking in the morning and working on client A, if there's an emergency, something else that takes priority, be willing to make a change, make a detour. Be willing to be flexible and service the client that needs first. You need to be able to assess as an individual and say, what's more important? Business owners look at which client is more important to me, which one is loyal, which one gives me more money. You as an employee will maybe able to assess in conjunction with your supervisor. You may be able to assess and say, this one will take me 2 hours to do, then I can devote the rest of my day. But please communicate. Don't just make decisions on your own that may impact the client. Be sure to check with your supervisors, check with all those that you're working with, communicate. Communicate, communicate. You can never over communicate. And I think for most of us here, that is one thing that we can all improve on. Listen, we have 12 more minutes to go before my 30 minutes. So I will take this next few minutes just to say thank you for connecting with us. Thank you for being a part of this. If you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe. If you haven't shared any of our videos, please share our videos. If you've never connected, you're here for the first time, welcome. And I hope today was useful. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a good one.